This session is for IF2. It's going to be very fast because there's a lot to cover in an hour. I forgot how much stuff was in the IF2 book until I went through it again. That's okay, Chloe, no worries. If you need anything, just pop it in the chat. So we are going to get started very soon because there is a lot to cover. Some areas I might just gloss over and just point out to you where I think you should do some further reading on the sections. So just pointing out best practice really from the book. I am recording this session, so what I'll do with it is once I have finished, I'll put it on YouTube. So if I do go over an hour, sometimes it does run over a little bit, but if I do, then you can, and you have to leave at 2 o'clock, you can just catch the end of it on YouTube. Okay. So we'll get started and we'll see how we get on. If you've got any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat. I can visit them at the end, or if it's relevant to what we're talking about at that time, I'll go through it then. Feel free to hang around at the end if you want to talk to me or ask any questions, or you've got any questions about anything else to do with CII. I'm open to answer those as well. Okay, so IF2, there's a lot of niggly bits and pieces to remember with this one, and what we know from, I'm sure you know from the other CII modules, is that the CII love a list to make questions out of, and there's plenty of lists in this module. So I'll point out the bits and pieces where I think you should probably focus on in relation to exam questions. So the first chapter looks at private motor. So they split it up into private motor and commercial motor. So private motor is for anyone like me and you, people who are using the car for non-business purposes. And there's 4 levels of cover available. Road Traffic Acts only, third party only, and third party fire and theft. Sorry, 4. Did I say 3? I meant 4. Comprehensive as well. We generally don't see people with just the RTA cover. We don't see many people with any cover apart from comprehensive now, really, to be honest, because comprehensive is generally the cheapest option, because the insurers see you as a better risk when you have comprehensive cover. So RTA cover is the minimum level of cover required by law. It gives you unlimited liability for injury or death, and 1.2 million limit for loss or damage to third-party property as well. So third-party only, in addition to the RTA cover, also covers 20 million third-party property damage. These amounts, like the 20 million, are definitely worth remembering. You do see them coming up in questions now and again. Also covers your passenger indemnity and legal costs. Your third-party fire and theft, in addition to those 2 levels of cover, it also covers repair or compensation if your vehicle's stolen or damaged. Cover for fire, lightning and explosion also. And then comprehensive cover, like I said before, is the highest level of cover. It's on an all risks basis. So what all risks mean is that everything is insured apart from specific exclusions. I've listed those exclusions below in orange. The comprehensive exclusions, things like wear and tear, loss of use, depreciation, mechanical, electrical failure, tyre damage. So motorcycle cover, the same level of cover is available for motorbikes, but there are a few adjustments to be mindful of, which you may see questions on. You're not covered for your accessories or for spare parts. So unless the bike's stolen, then you won't be covered for it. The bike has to go completely. There's no personal accident cover or medical expenses, and extensions are available for this list below. So trailer cover, riding other bikes, having more than one bike, mobility vehicles, things like that. Okay, so you're not covered for the accessories. That's really important to remember. So with commercial motor, there's 4 main types. So the range of cover for commercial vehicles is the same as private motor, and there's typically a standard wording that's used across all the policies. So I remember the types of commercial vehicles as GAPs. So goods carrying vehicles, agricultural and forestry, passenger carrying, and special construction. So if you remember gaps, you might remember all of those different types. So you might get a question that says something like, which one of these is not a type of commercial vehicle, or something like that. And you can also cover this list at the bottom as well in blue in respect of liability. So loading, unloading, driver indemnity, user indemnity, passenger indemnity, and legal expenses as well. Chapter 1, done. I told you I'll be moving very quickly. Chapter 2, health insurance. So we can break this down into 3 main parts. So we've got personal accident, first of all, and what personal accident does, it provides you with a lump sum payment in respect of certain events. So those events are things like permanent, partial, or total disablement, loss of sight in one eye, both eyes, or even death. Next, we've got sickness. So this cover is usually an extension to a personal accident policy. This gives you a weekly benefit if you're unable to perform any part of your normal job. So under personal accident and sickness, there's usually some standard exclusions, like if something happened and you were under the influence of alcohol, if the injury is self-inflicted, if you have an accident doing something dangerous, a dangerous activity, childbirth, pregnancy, and also if anything happens within the first 21 days of the policy being put on cover, you're not covered for that. It's like a bit of a buffer period at the beginning. And it's important to remember that personal accident and sickness don't follow the normal rules of indemnity. So if you remember back to IF1, where indemnity is putting somebody back in the same financial position as they enjoyed prior to the loss. When it comes to accidents, we can't do that. If I lose my finger, I can't, have it put back on necessarily. So these policies are not policies of indemnity. They're called benefit policies because they give a monetary benefit instead of being indemnified. Finally, medical expenses. This is cover for private medical treatment outside of the NHS. So the cover here would be for things like theatre fees, aftercare costs, hospital charges, specialist surgeons, things like that. Okay. So another point which is really important, which I see come up a lot, is the age range for these policies. So personal accident policies cover people between 16 and 70, and sickness policies is between 16 and 60. So you do see that coming up quite a lot. So just make sure that you remember that one. So it's an easy win, isn't it? Okay. With package policies, so package policies is where a customer needs the same variety of different types of cover as one another, and the insurer is going to put all of these elements of cover into a package in one policy. So what that does is it saves the customer having to go and get liability cover, get cover for stock, get cover for money, all from different places. They've just got it in one policy. I like to think of it all being in like a box with like a bow on the top. So the book looks at household package, travel package, and commercial package. So with the standard commercial package policies, they're going to cover fire and additional perils, business interruption, theft, money, glass, assault, goods in transit, and then you've got your liabilities, your EL, your PL, and your product liability as well. So it's a lot of cover in one package. You can also include refrigerated stock, if you're a shop and you've got fridges, and a business all risks cover, which can give you extra protection in addition to theft. You can also get legal expenses as well as part of the package. So under the new GDPR rules, businesses might also want to protect their data. So cover for data can be covered too, so cyber liability, data breach expenses, computer system damage, or cyber crime. So that can cover a business for those extra costs that come in as a result of them losing data or having a hacker hack into the systems. They might have lost some income because of that, because they can't trade. So that would cover you for that as well.